Hello, this is Dr. Stephen Cangiano. I am the president and co-founder of RDT.Media and Events with its online companions, relationship-development.com and humanity-upgrade.com. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Lisa Copeland. She is an over 50 dating expert. And quite honestly, this has some real personal juice in my life, which I'll tell you about in a second. She's an author, speaker, love coach, dating expert. She will help you find a quality man for people over 50. Lisa Copeland is known as the expert on over 50s dating. She's an Amazon bestseller, author of the winning dating formula for women over 50, and a regular Huffington Post contributor. Her passion is teaching women how to feel lovable and empowered as they travel the journey of finding love with the right man after 50. This is really up for a lot of people, and especially in this day and age now where we have, such high divorce rates, and then people are living longer, and so this is such an important topic. Lisa, welcome. And did I leave anything important out there? Maybe a little potted version of your background?
You said it all.
Beautiful,
the small
beautiful.
version. It's so nice to be here and to be able to help your audience.
That's great. And you have such a great energy about you. We were talking preamble, before we started the interview. All right. Anyway, so winning the dating game. And what I like about what you do is you have a formula and a track for people to run on. It's not just a bunch of motivation. So let's start there. How do you help clients define and really get clear on what a quality man is for them? Society has this definition of a quality man. I might not, the quality man. How do you help them get clear on what that is for them?
That's a great question, because what happens for most people dating at our age is they go back to the skills they had in their 20s. And they're oftentimes trying to date a man based on, especially for women, based on the hormones from the 20s, where you had to bond to create children. It's from the caveman days, it's in your DNA, and you're looking for the strongest and the fittest guy. And so you come across a guy who's really handsome, the bonding happens, the chemistry happens, and that's what takes you off. And you build a world together. Now, today in your 50s, it's very different. First of all, especially for women, chemistry can grow, chemistry and attraction, where you may not feel chemistry right away. As you get to know a man's personality, you can definitely find the chemistry. And a lot of people, though, they still base a date on, do I feel something in my body, chemistry-wise or attraction-wise, before their coffee's over? And they miss a lot of people, because your goal at this time in life is not to build like you did when you were younger and you got the house and the car and the kids and the dog and the jobs. Today, it's really about fun and companionship and support and having each other's back. I know that's not really detailed. If you want to go more detailed.
No, that is a great answer, because that gives people, because what you're doing there is giving people actionable data. And just as a little sideline, a lot of what you're a thought leader on a relationship site. You have thousands of downloads. You're very popular. But on our Humanity Upgrade site, we talk about evolutionary mismatches and how that's affecting society mentally, emotionally, physically, and relationships. And you really hit on a good point here, because what you wanted at 20, which is still in here, may not be what you want at 50. And that evolutionary mismatch has to be accounted for. And would you say a lot of people are even aware of that, or no?
No. So they're going out with blinders on because they're actually attracting this, and this is true for men too. We re-attract the same person in different clothes, different shoes, different job, different hair. But what's really happening is we are just going back to our old type. And because we have the most chemistry with our old type because we have lived with that person forever. We usually choose people that we need to finish relationship work with from family of origin. And until we have that awareness and until we have that healing, we keep bringing that person in. And that person is your old type. And that's who you are going to have the most chemistry with because it feels familiar. And the other really funny thing about chemistry, we have a tendency to trust people more when we have chemistry with them, when they may not be so trustable. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. No, and I want to get to that because you talk about that. I have a list of really good questions here. So, but I do want to just emphasize one thing that you said, and I think it's a critical factor in this, and that's fun. Why
Mhm.
is fun important?
You know, at this age, well, let's go back again to our 20s. Many of us fell into relationships. And by the way, we were having fun when we were doing it. We were doing activities, we were hanging out. We weren't trying to figure out if someone was the one this before our coffee was done. Now, people look at it as to be successful at it. And they're going out there and they're looking for chemistry. And of course, that doesn't happen. And then they think after 4 people, I've done it all. I can't, I've met everybody out there. And it's a real issue. So what happens is they get discouraged and they quit. And then they start to look as dating as a chore and a to-do list. And what I encourage my clients to do is to go out there and to meet someone new and interesting. Because meeting someone new and interesting is a lot more fun than going into a date and saying, how many kids do you have? Where do you live? What do you do? That's not fun. That's like a resume. I call it the dating resume questionnaire. You want to come up on a date with questions that can bring history of the two of you have shared over the years. Like, what were you doing the day that, well, we'll all be able to go the day that the pandemic happened in 2020. But, for history, things like what were you doing when Kennedy was shot, if you're old enough for that? Or what were you doing? And significant things that happened through the years. Or what kind of toys did you play with? Or what's your favorite vacation? These are how, people when they're resume adding, they're boring because they're boring questions. When you ask questions that can get to someone's real passions in life, people become far more interesting. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it really, I totally agree with that. So another thing, again, there's a lot of parallels here. Another thing we like at Humanity Upgrade and Relationship Development is give people a predictable path to success. And what I like about your content is that you have this idea of a blueprint. And I know you can't go through all of it now. It's just to give people a taste and hopefully get more into your book, etc. But give us an overview of how you give somebody a blueprint to something that many people feel is not something you can have a blueprint for.
Right. So most people think someone's going to fall out of the sky or I'll know them when I see them. And you only know it's chemistry. So I have an 8-step, well, no, it's sort of 8. It is 8 steps, but we don't need to go through all 8. We'll just go through the most important ones, the 5, real quickly. The first one is getting your confidence in place because especially for women who have not been complimented in a long time, their body's aging, they don't feel that they can compete with younger women. And by the way, most men are not into 20-year-old women over 50 unless they're very wealthy and want eye candy. They'll try it. But actually, most women in their 20s don't want to date who they think of as their grandpa. So that they will try, men will try, but it's an illusion. Mostly they come back to within 5 to 10 years of their age, either way. Okay, so, but women don't realize this, and everybody's been saying you have to be young to get a guy, and you don't. You have to be yourself and your best self. And they don't feel their best self when they're coming out of a marriage. So the first thing we do is get their confidence in place and really take a look at any mindsets that are limiting them, like there's not enough men, they only want younger women. The second step is an understanding of men, because women, we grew up in a time of women's lib where we had to kind of step on men to get ahead. And we lost the ability to get their cooperation, and we lost the ability to let men help us. We don't have to do everything ourselves. And so I really help women get an understanding of how they can get their needs met by a man and how they can make a relationship better by really understanding the way a man ticks and his mind ticks. And I have men write to me and say, thank you for writing this. I wish these women would listen more. The next step is what I call the quality man template. And this is where you started about how do you know who you want. And a quality man template is what everyone in my community does who works with me. And it's a vision of who they really want that's going to make them happy. And they do take that old type and they get really clear because it's a pattern, and then they create a new type that makes them happy. The cool thing is they end up in a relationship with men that are wonderful, and they would have passed them up without this template. The fourth
I
step.
love, I love that idea because again, it's so resonant with people didn't live to their 50s when
Right.
we evolved, and you need to make some insights and distinctions in that regard for people who are going to live in their 50s, 60s, 70s. The average life expectancy now is 80 years. That's
Right.
the average. Yeah. So
Right.
hey, I'm sorry, please.
No. It's really valuable. Women tell me all the time when I get letters from them or emails from them saying, I found my guy. They specifically say it has to do with understanding men, that their guy is so happy about that. And it takes nothing away from a woman. It really adds to how much she can really have in a relationship with a man. And this quality man template, because they'll always say, I wouldn't have seen him. Okay, so the fourth step is creating a great profile. Online dating, people hate. Part of it is because it's like a candy store. Everybody can, it's easy to bounce around. There's just tons of candy out there, and you're like the kid in the candy store. But when you have this clarity about who you want, when you feel good, when you understand men, you are more empowered in the dating world because you are not going on there and looking at every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You've also kind of put out to the universe, this is where I am now and this is what I want. And it helps you see who the guys are. And I teach my clients how to flirt online. That's another thing. We've lost the art of flirting. And so everyone is like, well, tell me, like they get very intellectual. Tell me your opinion of this or that. And an email is not the time, or a short email. I'm sorry, an email is not the time. You want those emails to be short and sweet and fun, and then get it to the phone and the meet and greet within 2 weeks. The last piece they need is how to meet men in real life. Now that's difficult now, but it's because of the pandemic. But you also need to learn how to flirt, which you can do online. And I have had clients right now finding guys safely during this pandemic online. So online dating gives you the most exposure to the most single guys. And when you have that template and you feel good about yourself, you're going to say, you're not going to go back in and look for your old type. You're going to go back and look at the possibilities, and they're going to show up for you because you put that message out.
That's beautiful. That's a great track to run on, and that's not the entire track. People need to. So I'm going to give a little personal story. I actually got into the online dating. I met my current wife 10 years ago, and so in my late 40s, early 50s, I was into the online dating thing, and it was really interesting because I've been in the personal development industry. And it was mind-boggling to me, the strategic errors that now I saw women's profiles. I'm sure men did the same thing. I just didn't see them, So anyway, like, what would you say if somebody put on their headline in their dating profile, which you just mentioned, I think step 4, is I want a man I can trust.
So that is like the biggest red flag for a man, because he says, she's
Thank you.
got issues. Yeah, I always tell my clients, you've got red flags in here. Men are going to identify it right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, the subliminal message was I've been screwed over and you are on notice that you better not screw me over. And, and so it's like, it's almost like they're bringing their past into the present and destroying their future
They're
was the,
trying, yeah, they're trying to protect their heart, and they're making a man jump hoops. And no man who doesn't know you is going to jump a hoop to prove he's worthy of you, because he doesn't know you.
right,
So he's going
right.
to go next. I know this is part of the discouragement women feel with online dating, because their profiles, I hate to say this, suck. I mean, they're really bad pictures, long, and don't get me wrong, men's do too, but I help women. So, wrong pictures where it doesn't show the best of them, long profiles. And, you're a guy, after about 3 paragraphs, short paragraphs, enough's enough, if you read it at all. So what
Yeah.
other mistakes did you see?
Well, I was going to ask you about this because I didn't know if this was a mistake or a strategic error or what. So I had a few women. I was in my late 40s, and I had a few women who said they were 49, even though they were 50 plus, because the 49 got them in a different threshold. And they would, a couple of them said, oh, I just want to let you know, you wouldn't have looked at me if I was 50 and now we're here. I go, and I didn't care. It was just a fun thing for me. But yeah, what would you recommend on that?
So yes, that is a question I'm often asked. Should I lie about my age so I get through the algorithms? But most men will look at pictures. When you're scrolling a match, you start hunting around. You try some other ages. You try ages closer to your age. And that's why it's so important to have such a good picture, because you as men are very visual. And I think it's not so much the age. If they see your picture and go, oh my God, this looks like a really great person for me. I mean, I'll ask you the question. If you had seen someone that was your exact same age or a year older, and they looked fantastic and they told their real age, would you have given them a chance?
Well, yeah. So I have maybe a different personality. I sniffed people out. Are they going to be fun? That for
There's
me,
fun.
that's what that's really was the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 factors. Hey, let's just have some fun, figure things out on the other end. And so yeah, so we could talk about dating profiles for an hour.
Oh my God,
So,
yeah.
but I want, because you have a lot of other great stuff. 4 magic words, inner glow. Let's go into inner glow, because I think this is, and then I want to wrap up with, I love what you did with self-talk, negative self-talk, but let's start with that inner glow. Give somebody some cash value on how they can really change their approach.
So, like I said earlier, most women don't feel so great. They're coming out of long marriages. Like, I know when I came out of my 25-year marriage, I was 45, and I was like a soccer mom. I dressed like a soccer mom. I had jeans and fake Birkenstocks because I thought they were cool from Land's End, and black t-shirts. I was into these black t-shirts. If they were coming from a great store, I was like, okay, it came from a good store, so it's cool. I mean, I was like, so I get out. I wasn't exactly the dresser of the year back then. And that's just how it was. I was watching my kids' soccer game, or well, they didn't play soccer, baseball games and basketball games. And you're not going to sit out there all dolled up on those bleachers you have to climb. At least our generation wouldn't. I think kids today might, but who knows? But anyway, so I remember the first time I had a date, and I'm going into my closet, And all I'm seeing are these, you know, t-shirts. There were other colors too, and the Birkenstocks and the jeans, and something inside of me said, this is not okay. And I remember pulling everything out of my closet. I didn't feel good about myself. I wasn't feeling great. I didn't have my mojo. And because of that, when you don't have your mojo, when you don't feel good and desirable and attractive and even sensual or sexy, what you do is you go on a date and you are twisting yourself into a pretzel trying to prove you're worthy of this guy, versus he also has to prove he's worthy of you. You know, that's a big thing. And I think so. The thing is to really get your mojo on, really take a look at the things you love about yourself. Like when I do this with clients, what I will do is ask them what they love about their body. Now, most women will say, I love my arms, but they're saggy, or I love my eyes, but I have crow's feet. And I say, no, 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 no. Back it up. Get that butt, yes, butt out of there. If you can't love it totally, you need to appreciate it. And in this point too, I want to say, men don't know what you look like when you were 20. You do, you know, so you look in the mirror and you go, oh my God, I see all this stuff I didn't have. But they're either going to love you how you are today, or they aren't, just like you're going to like them how they are today. Except that's not so totally true, because women see men's potential versus the reality. And that's why they're always fixing men up. Whereas men see the reality of a woman and they're attracted to you from where you are today. So back to the list. So if you make a list of the things you either love or are grateful for about your body, like 10 to 15 things about your personality that you love, 10 to 15 things about what you love to do. And then you want to create a list of 15 things that you're really good at, or that you're interested in. And the last thing is what you are most passionate about. And you can read this to yourself. When I work with clients, I read it back to them and I'll say, can I share something with you about a friend of mine? And then I start reading this list, and they men, I'd say the majority get very teary, because it's the first time that they have heard how amazing they are. And I'll end it with, so what do you think of my friend? And they'll say, oh, she's pretty amazing. And it's like this huge light bulb's gone off. You know, it's really powerful. You can do that for yourself too. It's a powerful exercise that will help you get your inner glow back.
Yeah, that is a great, again, you have so much good action, what I call actionable data, actionable strategies. It's really phenomenal. There's so much to talk about. We could go on all day. I do want to hit at least one more super important point. And this is something that I've looked at in kind of the mental, emotional consciousness realm. And you talk about combating negative self-talk. Define what that is. I think most people know, but give us some data on what that is, and then how do you? I think it's critical. How do you get people to turn that into empowering self-talk?
So negative self-talk is that yes, but I mentioned before. That is huge negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is also having inside of you this underlying belief you're not worthy enough. Like most people think, yes, I'm ready to go out and date. But underneath, they're saying, but I'm not worthy enough, because I've heard things like, my parents told me not to be too smart. So, you know, I kind of dumbed down. It takes a while for me to dig and get to that. And actually, we do an exercise for that too. Or I'm just not worth having what I want. And it's usually because somebody has told them they're not enough. And they took that not enough inside, and men too. They took it inside and they believed it was theirs. So an example of this is, I had someone once say to me, you're not creative. And so I believed it. Yet I'm an artist. I'm very creative. So I had this psychic reading. And the psychic says to me, honey, you know, you're really creative. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, who told you that? And that was the beginning of realizing that I took on other people's beliefs of me and believing those were true versus being clear on the beliefs of what I know I really am. And we do dive into this and we really look at who told us, this piece of information that we took as our own, what it's costing us to hold on to it, how the mind always points evidence to make it true. So the mind likes to be right. So whatever you believe, the mind's going to point evidence to make it true. And then we point evidence to a new affirmation. Like, so for me, it would have been, I am creative. And then I would have pointed evidence to, well, I paint, I knit, I am creative in my business. But this is a long time ago, but I mean, just to give examples now, because it costs you to hold on to this negative self-talk. And that's what it really is.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, yeah, geez, I couldn't agree. I would push back if I thought I have no problem with that, but I could not agree more with what you're saying. So to me, relationships are how we know ourselves. It's the most important journey in life. And you couldn't be doing, I know, like there's this, over 50 dating, but you couldn't be doing more important work, in my opinion, and because it can really transform somebody's life. The process that you put them through can transform their life, and then a healthy relationship, happy relationship on the other end can transform their life as well. Well, Lisa, this has been phenomenal. Is there any parting words? We're going to have your contact information. As I said, you're very popular, thousands of downloads on our site. What would you like to leave people with from all your work?
I think it's the idea of hope that you can, first of all, you can have the relationship you want. It doesn't have to be marriage. It can be a committed relationship living together. It can be a committed relationship living apart. It can be marriage. It can be friends with benefits. It can be a friend. You have so many more choices now. And it doesn't have to be the one like it was when you were 20. You can have different relationships and you can also have the one. But I just want you to have hope. If you have these strategies in place, as it would be with anything you wanted to go after in life, you have to have strategies. You have to learn how to do it. We didn't really learn how to date because we didn't have to. We fell into relationships. And now, there are strategies. There are wonderful ways to find love. I have clients in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. I've had clients get married at like 69 and 70 and get boyfriends. You can do this. It's a matter of believing in yourself, getting the skills, and getting the support.
That is beautiful. Beautiful. Well, this is, yeah, I really, you brought me back to my 50, my online dating days, which was kind of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. It was just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a valuable service because, if you look at people's happiness, the number one underlying factor is relationship. And this is proven by the longest study in history, the Harvard longitudinal study. And there's no really more important work out there. So I commend you, hats off, and it's obvious you're an expert. Thank you, Lisa. This is Dr. Stephen Cangiano signing off for RD&T Media and Events with its online companions, relationship development, and humanity upgrade. Thanks so much.